Marcelo, thank you so much for being here with me today. Um, let's start with a brief introduction. I mean, you have a long, you know, you you have a long work history, but
Yes.
if you had to if you had to conclude it in 30 seconds or 1 minute, how would it look like?
Basically, my name is Marcelo Johans. I'm 36 years old. I started in esports in 2008. I started as
Hmm.
a Dota player, pro player. In 2010, I started to be a manager of Pen Game. Pen Game is a big team here in Brazil. And I have been working in some companies that is really big here, like Omelette with Gaules, at Tencent with PUBG Mobile, Ipus with Dota. Uh, and I would say like 2 years of my life, I have been working with electronic sports, but in university, which was like really nice for my career and my like a challenge for my life.
Hmm. Okay, and what got you to be a pro player in Dota? Like, it's
Ah,
like what video games did you start with, and what led you to focus in Dota?
oh, this question is hard because it was like in a time that just I think you had that experience, but most of the people who was going to watch, they don't have. I started when I don't know how to say in English, when when the internet started, that you have to get like a line, like a cell phone line for connect to the internet. You have to
Yeah, like the
pay.
game. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like it was crazy.
yeah,
So I used to make a joke that I started with esports in Diablo. Diablo, I think you know Diablo.
yeah.
But in Diablo 1, they create a mechanism for make the game more real. And because of that, someone create a way to duel with each other. It was like you could put like a one way that your magic or your sword could like give damage in your partner. It was to make more like realistic, but because of that they create like some duel like it one against one, and they create some tournaments, and I start to play this tournament. I was really good in Diablo 1, but like I said, that time it was just for fun. You didn't receive anything. Like in that time, they have a forum about the game, and the champions of the tournaments they would usually get like one. How can I say, like a medal for you put in the forum to say that you are the winner.
Hmm.
Then I liked that idea. I start to play Magic, the card game. I played really well this one too, because I remember that I was between number 100 or I think 97 player in Brazil in my ranking. It was really good, but I didn't have like a good time there because who I was the guy who was playing, but my brother usually built my decks, and because he had money and I didn't have a good relationship with my brother in that time, so I had an argue with him and I stopped it. Then I stay a little bit without playing, just playing for fun, like Age of Empires, things like that. And someone in the LAN house, it was really hype here, LAN houses for you play, introduced me Dota, and I like the game. I say like it's like Age of Empires, but you play just with one character. It's really good. And I remember that I start in that time the Dota. It was a game inside the game. I don't know if you know this history. Dota
No.
now you Dota you download Dota 2, but in
Hmm.
that time for you play Dota you have to buy the Warcraft. It was a custom map inside Warcraft. So because of that, you had three ways for play. The first one, it was buy the Warcraft, which was, how can I say, the most honest possible. Then you could play in Battle.net, or you could download the Warcraft, didn't buy, and you could play or at Garena, which is really famous now because of Free Fire, or you could play in a, how can I say, in a pirate Battle.net. And
Hmm.
everyone used to play in the real Warcraft, in the Battle.net. And I started to do a team there. to play, and I was playing that time with that team, and I saw that my team was going to win all the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
say, guy, or I'm so good in this game, or the people who plays this game well isn't playing here. Because I did like, I don't know, 10 matches and I won all the matches. I say, it's something wrong. And I remember that I did a research about that. And no, I discovered that they play in Arena. Then I call some friends and say, hey, let's play this tournament from Arena. It's like the Brazilian Championship and the other ones. Then we start to play. I remember that we went with 5 players. All of us are friends. The first tournament we lost like the first 3 games. We lost the 3 games. It was like so bad for us. They played much better than us. Then the second tournament, these 5 players, 3 gave up. I still with me and one more friend. Then we get like other three loss. And
Mm-hmm.
in the next camp, it was just me with other guys. Then we start like a team that we played, I think like 5 tournaments, won 2 or 3. Then we got one partnership. It was SX, which is Sem Chorar. Basically, translating is like don't cry, the name of the team. And this team was like getting bigger every day because like I remember that we playing this team, then we go to CNB, which is a team that if you ask me like 5 years ago, it was one of the biggest teams in Brazil. They sell the program, but it was one of the biggest teams in Brazil, and it was like in CNB. I was playing. I remember. Then I had a. Oh my god, it's so long. I'm sorry.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
sorry. So I remember that in CNB I had a problem with my university. It was in 2010 because my university was the same time of the trainings, and I had to choose between university and playing. And in that time, uh, you didn't receive any money. Everyone who does the things like was the players. So in that time, it was me. And I remember that I say for them like, "Hey guys, I really like play with you guys, but I cannot choose. I stop my university. It's my life. I knew that esports was something that I could, how can I say, I could work with that, but I didn't think that it was going to be so fast. I thought it was like 10 years, 11 years, I don't know, 15 years. And I say, I cannot stop my university. I have to prioritize myself. But I would like to stay with you guys. So how about I stay in the team? I don't play, but I do like the managing part. Like I sign the tournaments, I organize like the trainings, the logistic, everything. Of course, they liked the idea. It was like everything that they dream because I was the problem of the game because I wasn't training anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I did the logistic part with no one wants to do. They say like, of course, stay here and do that. Then I remember that we classify. Do you know that today they have like EWC, the
Mm-hmm.
World Championship? In that time, it was ESWC. It was Esports World Championship. We classified to play this tournament, and in Pen Game, it was CNB, and there was a guy that was so toxic. He was so bad, one of the worst guys that I have ever worked. And I was always saying like, guys, his guy is going to have a problem. You are going to be bad with him. Then 1 week before the tournament, we are going to play in France, and the team just disbanded 1 week before. Then I remember that went just BRTT, which is really famous from Brazil in League of
Mm-hmm.
Legends now, and this guy who was toxic. And I think like 3 weeks after the tournaments, the owner of Pen Game now he called me like say, hey, you are right about the guy. You are doing a new team. You want you to be a manager like you were before in CNB. Then in that time in Brazil, I remember that it was. crazy because when you think about partner, you think about a partner from a CS team because CS was the biggest team. And I remember for him like, hey, let me see some teams because in Pen Game you were like number one in Brazil, like the best one from Brazil, and the number 16 in the world. You are so good in this in Pen Game. And he said like, no, 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 I don't want any Counter Strike team. I want to make a multi-game team from myself. He had money in that time, and now it's Pen Game. But for me, it was amazing the experience for playing. I am really competitive. Something that I really miss in my career of esport is this competitive idea, this idea of win or lose depends on me, you know. But it was really nice. Then after
And
that,
from,
my
yeah,
career was nice.
and from player to manager, like not all players, can actually like have that shift to be managers and actually succeed. So like, why first of all, like, uh, did you want to make that shift to manager, and how did you how were you successful in that? Yeah.
I could say like a lot of things here to make my career much better, but being
Yeah.
100% honest, it was because my friendship,
Okay.
100%. Because in that time, I really like the guys; they are really nice, and because I was the guy doing this managing part when I was a player, it was like a win-win, you know. I
Yeah.
still with you guys. I still play like I know that it's not training, but like in the for fun time, like Puggy and everything. I still play with you guys, and I help you in the other side, you know.
Hmm.
And the in I think it was successful because of two things. My team, my team was really great. They are really kind. They are people who was really hands-on. They work really hard, even though in that time it was like more amateur. And because it was amateur in the time, I was learning the process, and esport was growing with the process. I was learning with everything, you know. Maybe if I started with the knowledge that I have in 2010 now, I would be like a really bad manager because I didn't have like a lot of knowledge, but I was doing my best to learn the best, you know, in the
Hmm.
best way. So I learned the process until it was doing. For
Yeah.
example, in 2022, no, 2012, I had a problem with English because my team was playing with like European guys, with like North American, and they didn't speak English that time. So I had time to learn English. I went to Australia in 2014 to learn English. You know, I was learning how the process was going.
Amazing. And then you did like an university ecosystem, right? Like you
Yeah.
basically like built a league of 10 universities. Um, how did that come? And is it currently also working? Yeah, you can expand on
Yeah.
that.
Okay. First, for you to understand how I started, it was
Yeah,
because I started to do a second university. I am graduated in business administration.
yeah.
Then I did an MBA. And in 2019, I had like a burnout. I don't know if it was a burnout, if I had the idea to change my career. But I said like, hey, I have to do another university because I want to make a upgrade in my career. I want to get better what I do.
Mhm.
I do. And I started to do a university in information system. Then, because of my history in esports, the coordinator of this university, the name is ASPM, he asked to me if I could help him in the sport scene, and they say let's go. Uh, but like I said, exactly the same way that I started in 2010. For me, work with universities, it was amazing but really challenging because until 2019, my whole career and my whole idea about esport, it was about two games, which was Dota, which I played, and League of Legends, which is the one that they have in Pen Game. And work with university scene is totally different from everything you saw. It's amazing. It's challenging. I felt like a father for the guys because I saw them growing, and I started in this scene because of that, because my university, you know. Then I remember that I started doing things in my university. After, if you want to ask me like what I did, it was not it's nice, but I saw that okay, for make the university getting better about sports, I have to help the whole environment getting better. And I went researching and looking for people who was doing the same things from that I was doing, and I met a girl that you met her too, the Mariana. She was in a group. The name was Laui. It's basically a group of WhatsApp with ever president of athletics from universities, like if universities and college teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked for her like, hey, invite me for this group. I want to help. And it was growing. At the same time that it was growing, we had like the unlucky and luck at the same time of the COVID time, because it was in the COVID time, in the pandemic, which was bad because really feel that we could do like some bigger tournaments in that time. But because of that, everyone looks to the sports. So we did like a lot of tournaments. There was a time that in this group you have to do like some meetings to organize the schedule because you want to do like a new project because I don't know, Red Bull or Microsoft want to help, but you didn't have time for the teams play. Like I don't know, Monday and Friday it was one tournament, Thursday and
Yeah.
Tuesday other. It was so crazy. Then I helped them to do that.
And do they still pour like the same resources that they did, like when when the pandemic was happening, when they thought, like gaming and esports was going to be this massive thing that still kind of is, but like, there was this story told and a lot of brands jumped in and
Yes.
some went away and some say, but like, is it still big, the university scene? Is it still growing in Brazil or it's stagnated? What's the
Mm, in my opinion, it's it stopped to growing. It's
okay?
still the same, but for many reasons. Many reasons. It's not just like the sponsors.
Yeah,
I feel that there are less tournaments, but more professional ones than in your time, especially because now the tournaments are presential. They have like good, how can I say, good price. Yes, good
yeah,
prices, but there are less, which is, in my opinion, it's okay because I knew that most of this tournament was going to stop when like the people who was doing finished the university. But in my opinion, the biggest problem for university is the idea of university esports, not like just the esports, the whole sports in the university in Brazil. If you see most of the universities, not 100%, especially the public ones, is a little bit more professional, but a little bit. But I would say like 90% of the university in Brazil, the sports and like the tournaments from these sports are more for the party than for the tournament. For example, you have a tournament that I did in the sports, but the name is Economiadas. It's huge here. They stopped a city for the tournament, just for you imagine. Imagine like a small city, they stopped the whole small city for this tournament. But the biggest thing are the party, you know. Of course, they want to win when they start to play, but it's more for the party.
it's experience. Yeah,
Yes,
the,
it's like the whole experience,
yeah,
everyone wants to go. Like it's a time that, imagine like a lot of young people, they are living like for 3 days there. It's almost like a carnival here in Brazil, but just for
yeah.
universities, so
Hmm.
it's really amazing. But it's not like in the US, for example, that university they have an opportunity to play in a professional team. You know, this is a little bit harder for us, especially because in Brazil, when you say about esports in general, you say like about football. It's like 90% of the things that you see in the TV, you watch in the TV. You have other sports, but it's not that like a famous here, you know.
Yeah,
But this is the biggest problem for me. You know, it was really hard, even for me, in my university, when the pandemic time was like almost finishing. The whole thing, it was changing for other things, because in the first time it was for esports. Everyone wants to watch the esports team, everyone wants to watch the tournaments. They asked me like, hey, do a live for the training, because they didn't do anything to do. So in Brazil, I don't know how it was in Spain or US, but in Brazil, 90% of the thing that you did in pandemic time, it was watching esports or live for musicians.
yeah. Marcelo, like there's April Welch on LinkedIn that wrote a comment. What was the name of the event? Can you repeat it for her?
Economia does here.
Economia das.
It's here. I put like in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, great. Afterwards on LinkedIn, just like yeah,
Yeah.
respond. Yeah.
Economias is
Thanks,
really
April.
big. Yeah, no. I say economias because it was the one that I participate, but there are a lot of.
Yeah.
Just looking like for like a university tournaments, like you are going to see a lot, because
Yeah.
like economia, if you translate, is like a tournament for universities from economy. So it's administration, economy, comex, and other ones. Then you have one for publicity companies, university. You have for each kind of different subjects. You know,
Yeah.
it's really big.
Yeah. No, and one thing that you mentioned, now there's less tournaments and more professional. It happens a lot when an industry is getting new. Like everyone wants to jump, okay, and with time, the only ones that survive are the ones that added, like knew how to add the value and had a business model, right? So it happens the same. I don't know, like in my industry with recruitment. Okay, there's also a bunch of players. Some stop doing it. Some of us continue. There's
Yeah,
also in the collegiate sports scene. There's like a bunch of leagues. Many will potentially fall. There's ones that will grow, and I think it's only with time that less is gonna be in the industry, but more quality. That's what I get. So,
yeah.
yeah. And like, because Brazil is a country, like, and you mentioned also that they had to choose between university and Andorra, but Brazil is like I think number three, I think, of in Brazil, like international students going to the US. So you guys like in like traditional students or athletes or even players like in esports that now gain esports scholarships. There's a bunch of Brazilians coming abroad to North America, not only
Yes.
like in the US but in Canada. So like, and you also did that, but in Australia. I would love to divide this into. So first, I would love to know your experience in Australia and how the university sports scene is there from your experience, and then your interest in considering doing an MBA in the US. But let's start with Australia. So
Okay.
like, how was the experience
I
there?
you ask for you to ask me again about the second one, because I you
Yeah,
forget.
don't worry, don't worry. I was just, I wanted
Don't
to be
worry.
as specific as possible. Yeah.
Okay, my experience in Australia. Oh my God. Okay, it was not the best way possible.
Okay.
I'm trying to be polite. But like I said, it was now after 1 year, because if you ask me like 1 week before I come back to Brazil, I would say like a lot of bad things for there about there. But now after like 1 year, I thought about my experience, what I was expecting. It was like 50% of my fault, 50% of their fault. I was expecting to do the same thing that I did at SPM,
Yeah.
and I didn't have this opportunity. Uh, the esports scene is there, looks like Brazil in 2009. when I started. They are really starting it. They have, if I'm not crazy, I was trying to reach then one tournament for universities. You remember the name? I'm looking for the name, and I will tell that in here. But they have one esports tournament, and which was crazy. I have to do like something which was crazy. Why I'm saying that? Because they don't have like a sports scene, but most of the universities, they have one arena, and they have some sponsors or scholarship for the players, which doesn't make any sense for me. Because, for example, in Brazil, we don't have any kind of sponsor for esports players, and it's much bigger. But it's really in the beginning. But for me, the biggest problem for Australia is the culture of them don't accept help, and don't are op- they don't they aren't open to talk, you know. Because when I went there, I have already talked to the esports coordinator for my university, and I tried to talk to him, like, let me help you, let me do. And now I have to expose him. I'm not going to say the name, but there was a time that he scheduled a meet with me, and he didn't appear.
Yeah.
So they are not really open with that, like. And
I mean, yeah. Sorry.
no, talk.
No, no, because
Finish that.
like you're talking about this, your experience. Like I was in Australia in the Gold Coast like 2 years ago. I went to the Fuse Cup, which is like a high school, um, I mean, and a middle school league. And honestly, like
Yeah,
compared to Europe, like at least their youth leagues in gaming, like in esports, from kids that are like like 12 to 17, is way more developed than any European country.
yeah.
So I don't know the university scene, but like from what you're explaining, they still have to do a lot. But like the youth development that they do with esports and gaming in Australia, especially the Fuse Cup, I was impressed.
Yes, they are really good. They have some good ways to develop. The only thing that in Australia, talking about like the whole country, which is,
Yeah.
in my opinion, a little bit, how can I say, not really well developed. It's the internet. The internet, for example, in Europe or the US, even in Brazil, is a little bit better, but it's not a problem for them because you can play without lag. You have the same problem of Brazil, of course. Like it's hard for Brazil to play against Europe because of the internet. Is like the distance and everything, but they have like good opportunities there. But I feel that they do know, like the employer, I'm not going to say lazy because it's a strong word, but the employee that when they are having the KPIs, they stop it to do the things, you know.
Mhm.
Like you are doing a KPI, and because the KPI are okay, you don't want to improve anymore, you know. For example, my KPI is having like 10 players from League of Legends or Valorant, and they happy, and because I am doing that, I don't need to do anything else. You know, I have that KPI. My boss was going to be happy, so don't worry. It's like, and I'm saying that not just for esports, because I play like games, but I also play soccer, and I play tournaments there, and there are a lot of things that you could improve, like with a small thing, you know. For example, finish the game, you just note who did the goals, who scored the goals, and after that, put a list like, oh, you are the one who did the most goals, you know.
Mhm.
But just look like the university social media, you are going to see how, like in Portuguese, they usually say squared, but it's like how they have a process, and they don't want to look after that and open the eyes for the other things, you know.
Mhm.
But like I said, the structure, the infra from Australia in the universities, oh my God. Even soccer and other things, it's like a dream. If I had that in Brazil, I would cry, like say, oh my God, let me work here for Everton, you know?
Yeah. And why now? Like, because we talk behind the scenes. Like, why an MBA in the US? Why an MBA right now? Because you already done an excellent
Ah,
ed-
mm,
ed- education. Like, what is your objective with the MBA?
a lot of things. The first one, I have family there. I would like to see how is going to live there. I am almost starting on apply to get a green card. So it was going to be like one good experience for me how the life is there. The second one is because I feel that an MBA there was going to make me get one step forward for my career. I'm going to learn with other ways to see. I know that I can help people there, but I'm going to learn so much with them. I'm talking like about the esports and the subjects, because in the MBA I have to study, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I'm going to learn and I'm going to open a new vision about esports. If I had the pleasure to work with university again or college, I will learn other ways because, like I said, my idea when I work with Brazilian university, it was one because I had to make people engage. In US is different. In US is more professional. They looking more about the career than the how can I say the entertainment.
Yeah.
It's going to make my life much my knowledge much better.
Yeah, especially when you are analyzing an MBA, like
Yeah.
as you mentioned, the material is very important. But what's
Yeah.
also very important is like the teachers teaching it, right? Their experience, because like with the material, like and their own personal experience, how they transmit it, and those not knowledge bombs that you can get, and also how they can connect you with companies. Also, the university itself, right? What internship opportunity is there? Like, what companies post graduation you can potentially, or work there, average starting salaries, right? All these things, and also like meeting like the students, okay, that you're gonna meet, right?
Yes.
That are gonna potentially be in this in similar industries that you are, okay. And when I did my masters, I still stay in touch with those students, and we always help each other with network, because I mean the sports and esports is very vast, okay, but
Yes.
still there's always someone that knows someone. So in a masters, honestly, and networking and what companies you can end up working on, that's I was a I was very valuable for me, and that's also what I make the students I work with, like see. So yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Marcelo, is there anything else that you would like to add that we didn't talk about?
I don't know. I would like to add my project.
Go
I'm going
on.
to do like some
Esports
advertise.
101.
Yes,
Let's
the
go.
sports 101. It's something that I am really spent some time now. We are having some good guesses. Especially, I imagine that it's your majority people who was out watching that. It's like people who's starting. Uh, my podcast is basically for them. It's like a giving it's getting people who are much much bigger than me, like the director of Falcons. On Friday, on Monday, we are going to have the CEO of MIBR, which is the biggest team in Brazil. You are having some good experience, people giving ideas and advices for people who is starting. Uh, I think that's it. Basically, that's it. My idea is like you said, going to US to do an MBA. I have this plan. Let's see how it works. We are going to have a meeting really soon. But basically, that now I'm doing some interviews for come back to work to esports. But like I said, it has to be something that I really like because my idea is spending time in this project, the esports 101. Just one thing, I send in the, I don't know if you are interested in the chat, the Australia organization for esports university. They are really good. They are really good. Even though I didn't have opportunity to work with them, I really appreciate. I really enjoy the work that they did. You know, they are doing. But I think that's it. Like my experience in Australia, it wasn't the best, but it was good too. Like my expectation was different than what happened. It doesn't mean that it was their fault. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Marcelo, thank you very much for having this talk with me, and for sure we'll have a next talk, a next live talk.
Thank you very much, Ivan.